everyone, this is Meenal Rade. In this video lecture, I am going to discuss reactive power management related to power system operation and control. The contents of my video lectures is the load compensation, line compensation, series compensation, shunt compensation, and at the last, problems with series compensation. So let us just review the reactive power. So as we all know that reactive power is an amplitude of power oscillations with no net transfer of energy and is caused by energy storage components such as capacitor and an inductor. Also, the reactive power does not provide useful work, but it is essential for transmission of power. So to maximize utilization of a power generation, reactive power management is necessary. Also, and the second thing is that to maintain the voltage profile or to control the voltage, we required a reactive power management. So now let us see, before that, the outcomes of this lecture are is at the end of this session, learner will be able to explain line and load compensation, also series and shunt compensation, and lastly, learners will be able to identify problems with series compensation. So let us see one by one. First is the load compensation. So load compensation is the management of reactive power to improve power quality. That means to improve the voltage profile and power factor. Ideally, the voltage profile should be flat and the power factor must be unity. So to manage reactive power to improve the power quality is referred as the load compensation. Here the reactive power flow is controlled by installing shunt compensating devices, and this load compensation can be achieved by shunt compensation devices such as capacitors and reactor at the load end, bringing about proper balance between generated and consumed reactive power. So this is the load compensation that can be achieved by using shunt compensation at the end of the transmission line. This is the most effective in improving the power transfer capability of the system and also its voltage stability. At the end, it is desirable both economically and technically to operate the system near unity power factor, and that can be achieved by using this load compensation. So now let us see, second type is the line compensation. This load compensation and line compensation is the general techniques used for the reactive power management. So line compensation, ideal voltage profile for a transmission line is flat, which can only be achieved by loading the line with its surge impedance loading. While this may not be achievable, so the characteristics of the line can be modified by using this line compensation. So what is line compensation? Modifying the characteristics of a line is known as line compensation. So how you can modify the characteristics of line? Let us see. First, you can minimize the Faraday effect by using this line compensation. Second, under excited operation of synchronous generator is not required if you use line compensation. And the third, power transfer capability of a line is enhanced by using this line compensation. Now let us see what are the line compensating devices. So first is the capacitor, second is the inductor, and third is the active voltage source, that means synchronous generator. So the capacitors and inductors are a passive line compensators, while synchronous generator is an active compensator. When a solid state devices are used for switching off capacitors and inductors, this is regarded as an active compensation. Now let us see series and shunt compensation. So first, shunt compensation. Shunt compensation is more or likely like load compensation with all the advantages associated with it. Now, shunt capacitors and inductors cannot be distributed uniformly along the line, but these are normally connected at the end of the line and or at midpoint of the line. So in case of shunt compensation, these capacitors and inductors are connected at the end of line or midpoint of the line. It cannot be distributed uniformly. Now next point is shunt capacitor improves power factor and power transmitted over the line, as it is not required to carry the reactive power. Okay, as shunt capacitor is not required to carry the reactive power. Now there is a limit to which transmitted power can be increased by shunt compensation, as it would require very large size capacitor bank, which would be impractical. So limitation of shunt compensation is by a capacitor is a very large size capacitor bank is required to increase the power transmitted from generator to load side. For increasing power transmitted over the line, we can also use series compensation. So now let us see series compensation. The purpose of series compensation is to cancel part of the series inductive reactance, that means XL, of the line using series capacitor, that means by adding XC. So at the end XL should be equal to XC, that means X is 0, and this helps in. Now let us see advantages of series compensation. It increases power transfer capability of the transmission line. Secondly, it reduces power angle for a given amount of power transfer. Third, it increases loading. So these are the advantages of series compensation. Now let us see disadvantages or limitations of series compensation. From practical point of view, it is desirable not to exceed series compensation beyond 80%. If the line is 100% compensated, then it produces or it acts as a purely resistive element. So this is the limitation of the series compensation. Second limitation is the location of series capacitors is decided by economical factors and severity of fault current. That means we have to choose correct location to connect series capacitors. Now let us see problems with series compensation. As we discussed, we cannot exceed series compensation beyond 80%. If the line is 100% compensated, it will behave as a purely resistive element and causes series resonance even in fundamental frequency. So this is the problem of the series compensation. Now the series compensation line produces series resonance at frequency lower than the power frequency, and this phenomenon is known as subsynchronous resonance, that means SSR. The SSR produces mechanical stress. Before that, let us see what is SSR exactly. So SSR is a condition where subsynchronous component of natural frequency of series compensated turbo generator is near to torsional frequency, resulting in strong coupling between electrical and mechanical system. Then subsynchronous oscillations is caused in synchronous machine due to two mechanisms, that are, first is the self excitation due to induction generator effect, and second, interaction with torsional oscillations. So this is all about the SSR. Now SSR produces mechanical stress due to which high torsional stress occurs in the rotor shaft, which not required. Then SSR occurs during fault or switching operation. This can be overcome by using filters, bypassing the series capacitor bank under resonance conditions, by tripping of generator under resonance conditions. So we can avoid this SSR. Now series capacitors produces high recovery voltage across the breakers contact. Next thing is, if degree of compensation and location of capacitors are not proper, then the distance relays not work properly or not function properly. So this is the limitations of the series resonance. Now it also produces the non-linear or ferro resonance. So let us see what is that. Switching in of an unloaded transformer at the end of series compensation of the line may produce non-linear resonance or ferro resonance, and this may result in uninterrupted oscillations. Also, lightly loaded synchronous motors during the subsynchronous resonance have got to hunt. Again, series capacitors produces more net voltage rise, due to which more voltage drop occurs. So these are the problems associated with series compensation. So that's why we have to prefer shunt compensation. Okay, thank you.